Hey everybody, in this video, I wanted to show you whether or not you might be better on the Surest plan in 2025 or the HSA plan. Because estimating costs on both plans can be a little bit ambiguous, but because they use the same insurance network, that's the UHC Choice Network, we can have a pretty accurate comparison of what costs would be, assuming that we have the same procedures next year as to what we did this year. So this video can really help those of us who are currently on the Surest plan or the HSA plan see whether or not they would have saved money on the HSA plan or the Surest plan this year, and use that as a planning tool to see what they might want to sign up for next year. Let's begin. Now, I first want to make a couple disclaimers here because copay amounts generally on the Surest plan are increasing. Your advanced image copays are increasing. Your provider visits are increasing. The only exception I can see here is that urgent care is actually reducing. They're trying to push a little bit more utilization of urgent care facilities over emergency rooms. Another one of the major changes that's occurring on the Surest plan this year is that they are moving the prescription plan to being a copay amount to a co-insurance amount. Now, to explain exactly what this is, you have three different tiers of prescriptions. You have your tier one. These are your generic low-cost prescriptions. The current amounts are either a $10 copay, or if the actual price of the drug is less than that, you would pay the lesser value. Next year, that's moving into a 30% co-insurance amount. So, for example, if you have a generic prescription that costs $100 this year for a 30-day supply, that would have costed you $10 at most on this year's Surest plan. However, next year, because that's moving on to a 30% co-insurance amount, that $100 prescription is going to cost you $30 instead. Now, I have a calculator I'm going to show here in just a second that's going to help you accommodate for those changes. So let me give you a tour of my calculator. This spreadsheet has a way for us to compare what was currently billed this year to our insurance to what that would be estimated to cost next year for us. And it's very simple to utilize. I want to show you really quickly how to do that. To begin, we're going to go to the United Healthcare website. From here, I want you to go to your claims by going to Claims and Accounts and clicking on My Claims. From here, you're going to see all of your medical claims. I would also recommend filtering it to just medical and not vision, so that way you don't mix those numbers up. Now, when you filter it to medical, it's going to pull up all of your medical claims that you've had this year, your provider visits, your operations, or any of those. So let me explain what exactly we're looking at here. This first one has to do with a doctor that I saw. Now, without sharing too much, the amount that was billed to the insurance was $309. Now, that can sound kind of scary, but just know that the insurance is always going to apply a discount to whatever the provider charges. This discount amount is the same on both the Surest plan and the Choice HSA plan. So no one ever actually pays this amount. It's simply a discount that you get by being on the Choice network. Now, what differentiates the Surest plan from the HSA plan are the next two columns. We see this plan paid quantity, and we also see the you paid quantity. So in this example, I paid $185.71. Now, I looked up the same provider on the Surest website, and that same provider would have been, if I was on the Surest plan, an $80 copay as opposed to a $185 charge. So what this would look like if I was on the Surest plan would be an $80 copay here in the you paid section, and the other $105.71 being in the plan paid section. Regardless, either way, the provider is paid a sum of $185.71. The difference between the Surest and the HSA plan is who pays that prior to meeting your deductible. So we're going to take these four columns and we're going to add them into our spreadsheet. All right, so you put the date, then I want you to put the member and then the claim type. Now, I've listed it down to three different claim types. You have what are called preventative claims. Preventative claims are like your annual physical, your flu shots. These kinds of claims are paid in full, regardless of whatever insurance plan you're on. So even if you're on the Choice HSA plan, your flu shots are still free. Your annual physical is still free. So if it was one of the preventative costs, meaning it costs you nothing, then click the preventative. However, for most other things, your office visits, your visits to the ER, your general doctor visits, then you want to just select non-preventative. And I'm also going to show you in just a minute how to handle prescriptions with this calculator. So I'll select non-preventative, and I'm going to leave the prescription type blank. And you can leave yourself a little comment if you want as well. I'll explain what this column does in just a bit, but we don't want to touch it. And I'm just going to enter those four values in the build, discount, plan paid, and you paid section. Okay, so in this example, I pretended like I was on the Surest plan and I did that $80 copay that I would have paid on the Surest, and therefore putting the other $105.71 in what the plan would have paid. So you're going to go through your United Healthcare claims, and you're going to do this for every single claim throughout 2024. Now, I know we're not at the end of 2024 yet, so I know that your expenses might not be finished at this point, but hopefully we can still use the tool to estimate what our costs can be. Next, let's take a look at how we enter our prescription information. Now, to do this, we're going to go over to the CVS Caremark website and log into your account. All of your prescription claims will be processed here on CVS Caremark's website and not United Healthcare's website. So to look up your prescription claims, you'll go up to prescriptions, go down to financial summary. Okay, now we can look up an example of one of the prescriptions that we've had for this year. Now, we see some similar characteristics that are depicted here. So the RX cost of this particular prescription was $6.08. So that's what I paid on the Choice HSA, and that's also what I would have paid on the Surest plan, because that's the lesser of the copay. So you'll enter that. The plan here paid $0, and if you were on the Surest plan, it would have also paid $0 because your copay is up to $10. But anyways, so everyone has different prescriptions. You'll just enter these four values: total cost, plan paid, and you paid. What we'll notice is that there is no discount section for prescriptions. So over here, we're going to put our date. We're going to put whose prescription it was for. We're going to put that it was a prescription. And now we're going to put what type of prescription it was. To find out this information, you can find the quantity amount right here and the supply as being a 90-day supply. We can also see that other claims are 30-day supplies. So I'll select the correct amount. This was a brand 90-day supply, and we will enter those amounts. This actually shows us that next year on the Surest plan, we would save money on this prescription plan because we have that coinsurance amount and not the copay amount. So because this prescription costs me $6.80 as a 90-day name brand, I would have a coinsurance next year of 35%. So 35% of $6.08 is $2.13. Now, of course, this is kind of an exception. Most prescriptions can be generally a lot more expensive than that. So let me give you an example of what a more expensive prescription might cost next year on the Surest plan. All right, so let's say, for example, I got a 90-day name brand prescription. Now, that would be this year a $150 copay. But let's say that we actually looked at the price of this drug and it ends up being $1,000. All right, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do 90-day brand. The prescription cost, let's just say, is $1,000. There is no discount. However, I would have paid a copay of $150. So I'll put that here. And of course, I just have to do a little bit of math here because I'm not pulling up a real claim. The other one, $850, would have been paid by the plan. Now, observe that next year, that actually means that my cost is going to increase quite significantly for that same prescription. Because remember, you take the cost of the drug and you multiply it by the coinsurance amount for 2025. There's no copay amount. Okay, and so in general, you're going to fill out every prescription and every claim that you've seen throughout the year 2024. And at the end of entering all the data, you should hopefully have a little bit more information as to which plan might save you a little bit of money. Hey guys, just wanted to step in. I accidentally made a slight misclick here. I accidentally clicked preventative when I should have clicked prescription. So these are the actual values that show the difference between those values. So apologies for the mistake. Now, one thing I do also highly recommend if you're going onto the Choice HSA plan is that you try to save at least the premium difference into the HSA. Let me give you an example. This slide here shows what the premium difference is between the Surest plans and the Choice HSA plan. So let's say, for example, that you're on the Employee Plus Family Surest plan currently. You're already paying quite a lot for your premiums, just north of $10,000 for the year 2025. If you were to elect the Choice HSA plan, you would only pay $6,600 in the premiums. Now, what does that mean? That means that you have a premium difference of $4,000. So I would recommend that you put at least $4,000 into your HSA, regardless of any sort of employer contribution. Going with either one of these options, the Surest Employee Plus Family or the HSA Employee Plus Family plus the $4,000 in the HSA, you would experience no financial difference in your monthly paycheck. They would withdraw the exact same amount. The only difference is that you now have these $4,000 that you can allocate to medical expenses. So I know we can get very caught up in the high deductible on the high deductible health plan, the Choice HSA. You might actually be surprised over how much money you might be able to save on the Choice HSA. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to email me. I hope this was helpful and good luck choosing your plans next year.